Hello, everyone. Welcome to the semifinals of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022 in Berlin, Germany. It's Wesley So winning game number one over Tabatabaei. Okay, Wesley is finding his gear here in the semifinals. This is the real deal, Wesley. Where were you last time, Wesley? This is it. Okay, Wesley was white. Started with d4. A different Wesley this time. Knight of 6, c4. e6, knight c3. d5, z takes d5, e takes d5, so we have the exchange variation of the Queen's Gambit. QGD, Queen's Gambit declined, exchange on d5, bishop g5, c6, queen c2, h6, bishop h4, bishop e6, e3. Okay, this is the Carlsbad structure. Carlsbad, yeah, the pawn structure. Look at that. All right, black went for knight bd7, f3. The pawn holds the important e4 square. And also g4, by the way. Bishop into d3, c5, knight ge2. You don't have to worry about c4 here because Wesley has bishop f5. That's it. Castles, castles. You just have to be careful. Now black has this majority on the queen side. Take a look at those pawns. Queen e8 takes. An important move, all right, to stop the expansion of black in the queen side. Yeah. Okay, if you allow a6 b5, that will be problematic. So a4 stops the advancement of the a and b pawns that could help the c4 pawn. This is a strategic play, huh? a4 restricts the idea of a6 to b5. a6, you don't have to worry about b5 here because the knight is on c3 and the pawn is on a4. b3, an important reaction, or else black will go for rook b8 and then b5. Right, the timing of the break on c4, right? Rook c8, rook ab1. So instead of rook b8, black has to play rook c8. So rook b1, now white has the control of the b file. Bishop b4, nice move by Wesley, bishop e1, protecting c3. Because again, the knight holds that important b5 square. Knight b6, queen a2, knight, after queen a2, the knight on c3, and that queen on a2 protects that important a4 pawn because the knight here on b6 and the queen on e8, they're keeping an eye on a4. So you also have to protect that one. Rook to f7, trying to shift. Rook lift, going to c7. Good capture by Wesley. Timing of the capture. Rook has to take to protect the bishop on b4. a5, pawn nail, 1 for 2. Right. So white has now solved the pawn issues on the queen side. Takes on c3, knight takes c3. Knight a4, knight takes on a4. If the knight, for example, moves back, I think it was better for black to move back to, right? It's better for black to move back to knight c8 and transfer it to knight d6. But white could probably go for rook b3 here. Let's say knight to d6, and then bishop goes back to g3. Okay, that's the main point of rook b3, giving the bishop that freedom to move. Yeah, because earlier the bishop on e1 was protecting the knight. Yes, and then you can simply play this rook to b1. Yeah. The backward pawn in b7 is problematic for black. But with knight a4, okay, white now has a big edge. Takes. Black needed that knight. Takes. queen to d2. Rook c7. Okay, rook controls c file, but it's a bad move. Why is it bad? Because now it allows this tempo with bishop g3. Probably black wants to activate that rook, right? But it's the wrong timing, because after bishop g3, it loses the pawn in b7, because the rook is keeping an eye on that pawn in b7. You cannot go back to f7 or any move, let's say rook to d7 here, because rook fc1, now white has a complete control of the c5. If you go back to c4, I will just take rook takes c4, now rook c1. How do you protect the pawn? Let's say you protect it with queen c8, queen a2, right here, pin on e6, attacking. Look at the bishop. No rook c7. Yep. If you play that knight to d5, just rook takes c4, push that pawn on e4, it's bye-bye. That was the critical moment of the game, or maybe the losing move for Tabatabaei. Rook c7. Controlling an open file, but not the best one, not the good one. Yeah. Imagine a rook controlling an open file, but a bad move. You can just imagine that one. Huh? Maybe he should have played e5, getting rid of that the other backward pawn. Takes and takes. Although this is still good for white. Nice queen here, nice place queen protecting e3 and a5. And then the rook swings to c1. It's still better for white, of course. Black has two weaknesses here after capturing on e5, this isolated pawn on d5, and that backward pawn on b7. We have this, what we call the principle of two weaknesses here. Okay, so rook c7, bishop g3. This is winning now for Wesley. Rook c6, one pawn. Queen g6, nice exchange on c7. Black wanted to play rook c2 with that exchange. You cannot do that, right? Wesley is in his element in the semifinals. Takes on c7, rook c4, no problem, rook c1, right? Black thought, okay, I'll use the other rook to go c2. I still have one more reinforcement. Sorry about that, black. Queen e8, bishop g3, good retreat. Queen b5, rook takes. Takes. This bishop on g3 is very flexible. Yep. It helps the queen on that a5 pawn. At the same time, it's also helping the king, right? Defending the back rank. Right, e4, not allowing knight to d5. Queen into b3, bishop e1. That was the point of the retreat, yes? On c7, it was protecting a5. But on e1, it's protecting a5 and also c3. At the same time, the king. A multi-purpose move of bishop e1. Knight into e8, d5. Pass pawn must be pushed. Takes, takes. Okay, Wesley maintains the connection of the pawns. Same time activating his queen. King into h7, queen f5, king g8. Okay, just gaining move. Again, queen f5 and queen d5 gives you 1 minute, yeah, with that 30-second increment. So making those two moves, queen f5, queen d5, and back to d5 gives you a minute. King h7, queen f5, so that's a minute and 30. King g8, now queen e6. So with that one, with that sequence of queen d5, queen f5, queen f5, queen e6, last 2 minutes. Yep. It's just like basketball, last 2 minutes. But this one is last 2 minutes. Okay, king f8, h4. Right, Luft, king safety. If queen goes to e3 to check, thanks to the bishop, right? Thank you, bishop. The important h4 move, you can go king h2, the king safety. Again, if queen f4, thanks to the bishop once again, bishop goes g3. So white is safe. Queen goes to d1, pin, no problem. King helps. Queen d4 check, king into g3. Tabatabaei pushes the pawn on c3, no problem. Bishop f2, and here black resigned. One final trick here. Let's say queen goes back to d6, no problem, just takes. Takes on d6, bishop c5 pin. If the king protects, there's e5. If you want to promote your pawn with c2, take with a check first. King e6 or king d7, no problem. I have bishop a3, protecting the important promotion square, right? And it's game over. Extra piece. Well, that was a precise game by Wesley. So precise. He's in another level here in the semifinals. It's just sad that even if he wins this tournament, he won't be able to qualify for the candidates. But I don't know because China is doing something with Ding Liren right now. Yeah, they're having this quadruple, according to Levy, the quadruple tournament in China. Ding Liren has this round robin there. He needs to complete 30 rated games. It's actually supposed to be in a year, but since the candidates is coming up in June, so China is doing it maybe the whole month of April. Ding has to complete 30 games, 30 rated games before May 1. Yeah. Because the highest rated player on May 1st will get that final spot after Karyakin was banned by FIDE. Wesley may be an outside chance, but not so much. There's a big gap with the rating between Wesley and Ding. It's okay, how much? Around almost 30 points. Yeah, 30 points. Which Ding now is 2807. Wesley around 277 plus. Well, okay. Wesley still has this America's Cup. Yeah, American Cup back next month. Yeah, in April. But I don't know if he could get to more than 30 over there. But who knows if he wins all his games. Okay, but still, congratulations to our very own Philippine Pride, Wesley, for winning the first game of the semifinals. He just needs a draw tomorrow to qualify for the finals. It would be intriguing. It would be intriguing if he qualifies for the finals against Hikaru Nakamura. That would be an exciting match in the finals. Hikaru drew his game today with Mami Jarov. All right, guys, thank you for watching our video presentation for today, and thank you also for supporting our channel, Charles Max Chess and Charles Max Entertainment, on our Facebook and YouTube. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.